Well, thank you very much for your attention. We will finish the session today with the introduction, a very high introduction about the FIWARE Lab and the use of the cloud, which is one of the components of the FIWARE. If you can see the URL, there you can get the slide share presentation of this part of the session, and you can download and whatever you want to do there. My name is Fernando Lopez. I am the cloud architect of the FIWARE and responsible of several development in this area, together with one of the main responsible of the different architecture that we have developed in the cloud, in the FIWARE cloud. I think that this is a very dense presentation. I am not sure if I spend 1 hour, but I try to finalize as soon as possible because the time is very expensive. But anyway, I try to explain it. The idea is during this presentation, we give you details about the introduction of the FIWARE Lab, what was the different steps, and what was the reason that we adopted. We continue with an example of how can you deploy a virtual machine on them, what is the different steps that you have to follow, and what is maybe the main problems that you have to find on them. More or less, usually because you forget to open different ports. We give an introduction of the networks, why we need to put networks in the deployment of the virtual machines. We continue with one of the most important pieces of the FIWARE cloud, the containers, in which you can upload any file or any object that you can produce in your components. We continue with the management of the volume and how can I assign a specific volume with this permanent storage in your virtual machines, why is the reason of them. And finally, we give you some reference information and when you can give more questions about it, we can get more information and so on. Before starting with the presentation, I would like to make a question about you. Is how are you familiar with the cloud? Well, how you know OpenStack? Well, ages ago, when we started the FIWARE, at least when we started the preparation of the proposal, we have to follow a typical question that we need to adopt an open source solution in all the FIWARE, and we need to investigate what is the different options that we have in the market at that time. In that process, together with the people of the IBM, we analyze the different options that we have in the market. And we see that the OpenStack, was one of the more important at that moment because they started that they have a nice community behind them, and okay, it will be nice. After 3 years, I think that that question was very nice because now I am very happy to see that I prefer to work on OpenStack and not in the other solution because the community behind OpenStack is growing very high, and each some 6 months we can see a new version with a lot of improvement, a lot of new functionality and so on. With the base of the OpenStack, we develop different components that improve the functionality that we can get with OpenStack. Mainly is the cloud portal, because at the beginning when we started with Diablo and SS and Cactus, the first one, the portal is not very comfortable for us, and we decided to adopt any other user interface in order to give more close to the user. Together with these components, we develop a platform as a service component and service deployment configuration that allow you to deploy automatically software and deploy automatically virtual machine with your business. I mean, if you want to deploy a specific 3 tiers application, you can automatically specify in the Pass Manager, and you don't need to deploy each time that you want to deploy this application for any other provider or any other user. No? You can only click a button and automatically deploy your business. Behind of all of these components, we adopt a unified or integration solution for user identity. All of the FIWARE lab use the same account manager, which means that all of the component, Orion, component of data, cloud, or whatever, are using the same architecture. It's based on the Keystone, the solution of the OpenStack, but we provide an extension of the Keystone with integration of the plugin to use OAuth 2.0. And not for you, but also in order to check that all the infrastructure is working, we have a specific component in order to monitor the system, monitor the virtual machine, and so on. This is not the current solution, the current photo of the infrastructure, but this is very proximal to the real now. This is, if you can see there, we started with the Spain node, which have in Sevilla, Santander, Malaga, so on. The rest of the green point was the next level in the federation, and then we moved to the yellow one. The current situation is we have to update this photo because we have like Juanjo mentioned at the beginning of the session, we have currently a Mexico node working with almost 1,800 cores. We have in progress with the Brazilian node with actually only 400, but they are being a lot of infrastructure in order to reach almost the same number of Mexico. We have in progress in contact with the Brighton and Amsterdam in order to incorporate another nodes. We are in contact with Korea. In the same, we have several meetings with the Japan government, but I am not sure if they provide something during this year, but we are in contact with them, and also with the United States. Next weeks we'll have to travel to Washington in order to talk with the government in order to analyze the possibility to open a node there. I remember that something during the beginning of the session asked about the possibility to have a specific node there in some place. I don't remember which person was over there. Yes, too. Where is your country? Sorry? Where are you from?
I'm from Romania.
It's not here. Currently, it's not here, but it's we can find more or less. We can find any partner there for sure, because it's very easy to now. It's very easy to go up and grow in the federation. Well, this summary is only to give you details about what they are talking about, the account, the compute, the monitoring, and so on. Relating to the account, this is, like I mentioned, this is the unified user identity management. It's part of the security chapter of the FIWARE. I think that tomorrow there is a specific session in order to talk about this component, but we introduce here a little in order to use it. The way that you can access to this component is like you using the first URL, the account.lab.fiware.org, in which you can create your own users if you don't create now. Well, let's finish the less introduction and we move to the bigger things, the basic functionalities. Well, behind this name, we want to explain how you can deploy a virtual machine in the FIWARE lab. Assume that firstly you need to create, of course, a user. Why you need to create different components before a virtual machine, the keeper and the security groups and so on. And the way that you need to access to this component, to this virtual machine. The first one is you see very well. It's access to the account.lab.fiware.org, in which you introduce the email and password. If you don't have any account, you can sign up in order to introduce the data and create your own account. When you finish the process, okay, you have the access to the FIWARE lab, which means that you have access not only to the cloud, you have access to the different portal or different components, and you can use them without any problem. Well, what is the first things that you have to do? Well, you can imagine when you deploy a virtual machine, by default, the system don't allow you to access using user and password. The only way, mainly because we don't provide you the password. The only way to access to the virtual machine is using a keeper. It's a public key. This way, the system, you have to create the keeper previously to deploy a virtual machine, because when you try to deploy a virtual machine, the cloud portal asks you about this parameter, the keeper. Keep in mind that we are creating a public-private key. This is a typical question in the forums and so on. When the people say, I cannot access to my virtual machine because I lose my public key. I don't have your public key. When you create the public key, the system automatically keep the private one. But the public key, I cannot store them. I only put a link in order that you can download. But when you close the windows, there is no possibility to recover it. Okay? Please keep in mind, because this is a typical problem with the people. Once we have the keeper create, well, you introduce the name. You have two options. If you are using a Linux or Mac, like me, you don't need to do anything else. You have a pen file that you can download. In fact, you can, if you want, you can put in your SSH file, so on. But if you are using Windows, I don't know, I see a lot of people here with Windows, you have to translate the format to the PPK file. No? Well, this is there is several options to do that, but I prefer to use PuTTY because it's an open solution and it's very nice to use it. I suppose that all of you know PuTTY, no? Well, so in these slides I explain what do you have to do in order to translate from the pen to the PPK in order to use the PuTTY to access to the SSH of the virtual machine. Operation is very simple and is well explained here. You have other possibility that you can keep is you have the possibility, if you have the pen file, you can obtain the public key of the corresponding to this file. No? It's only you have to execute the SSH keyham program in order to get the public key, and in fact you can add this SSH to your SSH ID RSA.pub file in order to put directly there, and you don't need to call to -i format in the command in the SSH. Again, you have the possibility in the cloud portal that imagine that you have your own public key in your SSH file or whatever, and there is a possibility to not create a key pair but import the public key that you have, no? And this is another possibility that could be very useful because, for example, when we are working with different regions, I create only one key pair, and the rest of the region I only import the key pair from the previous one with the previous operation. I obtain the public key of the pen file, and with this public key I import in the different regions. Security group. Why is this so important? Like you know, if you are working with the cloud, usually all the ports are closed. Don't forget it, because if you don't provide the security groups in which, for example, you open the 22 ports, it's impossible that you can access with the SSH. In the same way, if you don't open the 8080 port, you cannot access with HTTP to your virtual machines. This is a security reasons. All the virtual machines that are deployed are closed. The only way to work with them is specifically define which port you want to open. Okay. Like here, when you click on the create security group, you see a window in which the system asks you about the name of the security group, a little description that helps you in the future to identify what else are doing here. Because you know, if after 3 or 4 months and you have to recover the information that you are doing in the past, if you don't have any description of what I am doing here, what I was doing here, you are totally crazy. You don't remember what it is. After the creation, you will see something like that, a window in which you have the different security groups. It's only the name, and you have to edit the rules, the different security rules that you want to access, to create. Then you see a window like that, in which, well, in that example, I opened the 22 and the 53.6 port, because maybe it's a part of the MySQL or part of one of the deployment that we are doing in the cloud portal. No? By default, if you open these windows, there is no rules there. You have to introduce what is the protocol, if you are using TCP or UDP, what is the port. You have the possibility to define a range of the ports. Imagine that you want to open the 20, between 20 and 22. Okay, I put 20 in the first, and from 20 to 22. The source group, there's the CIDR. I don't know if, are you familiar with the CIDR? Well, don't worry, I have a specific slide about that when I will talking about the network. It's a representation of the network, the IP address, and the mask that you want to apply. It means you don't see here, but in that case, for example, you can put 192.45.30. something /24, which means that you have 24 ones. This is the max. 255 /24 is I say, no? is 24, is I could remember exactly is 0. Or well, I have the two first steps, the key pair and the security groups. Very important, don't forget it. Okay, the next steps. When I deploy a virtual machine in the FIWARE lab and on each cloud, don't forget that you are deploying in an internal network, not a public network. What this means? This means that you can deploy a virtual machine with your key pair, with your security groups, but you obtain a private IP address. You cannot access to them, only if you are inside the infrastructure, but you don't have access to it for sure. You need to assign a specific IP address in order to open to the world, no? This virtual machine. This is the step that we are doing here. We allocate a specific IP network, IP address to the project. The project is the tenant that you have. If you see, this is my user. Okay. The project name is usually, if you don't have any organization, is the name of your user. When you click on the allocate IP project, you will see the network you can use. You click in order to obtain a public IP address. Don't forget also that usually, due to the resource that we have, each of the users only have a group of a little amount of IP available. Okay. Currently in Spain, in the Spain node, the old Spain node, not the new one, the old Spain node, we don't have anymore. In the new Spain node that we are working on that during this last week, Spain 2, we have available IP address. And in the rest of the node, is the same. You have to, in some of them is not for national mandatory rules, you cannot deploy automatically IP address. You have to ask to them in order to access. But there is a specific nodes, especially Piraeus 1 and Piraeus 2, Creta and Cascrona, and Zurich also, that you can automatically deploy IP address. Launch instance. Okay, you have the possibility in the instance windows to click in order to launch an instance, and they move automatically to the image one, in which you can see the different images that you have in order to use to create a new virtual machine. Some of them is based on a specific generic enabler that use an image in order to create a virtual machine. Some of them is as usual, CentOS Ubuntu, in order to create CentOS Ubuntu virtual machine. You could see, if you could see here, yes. Some of them have at the end of the name init. You could see them. These images are special because with this image we automatically give the possibility to deploy software in this machine, if you want, of course. But it's prepared in order that we can inject software in the virtual machine in the same way that it's prepared to use the monitoring of the virtual machine. What it means? It means that you can use. It's not mandatory that you can use the monitoring, or it's not mandatory that you can install, but it's a help tools in order for you, in order to monitor your virtual machine, to get to see if there is something wrong there, or to install automatically software without any dependencies or whatever you can imagine, and continue with them. Well, when you try to launch an instance, you will see something like that. Important here is the right side of the windows, in which you see what is my quotas. This is something that I try to explain. That as usual, we have a very strong limitation. In fact, now we are changing the condition, terms and condition, in order that the user, the normal user, not you, the previous one that was using the FIWARE lab, cannot deploy resource if they are not playing, or they are planning to provide some business. No, the idea is the community users. That is something that you have to be. The community user will have more resource, more available resource than the normal user. No? The normal user have only 2 weeks to provide to play with the FIWARE cloud. The community user will have more resource for that. No? Anyway, you could see in the right what is the resource. You will see what is the different resource that you have available, and you could see what is the limit and what is the current situation of your resource, the consumption resource. When we apply the new term and condition, usually you receive a specific form in order to write what is the description of what is your application, what is your product that you want to deploy, because this is something that we have to keep in order to increase the resource that you have. Okay? This is actually the community user is not centered in the quotas in the same way that the previous one. You have to explain, I need to provide, or I need for my business, I need 4 virtual machines with this capacity, and I need to work with them because blah 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 blah. You will see the formula in the next weeks, more or less. And with this information, it helps us to automatically deploy the quotas for your business and so on. Okay. Well, continue with the launch an instance. You will see that you have to introduce the name. You have the different flavor. The flavor is some resource configuration. In the meaning of you have there what is the amount of memory that you want to use, what is the amount of cores that you want to use, etc. And you have the possibility to automatically instantiate different image of this specification. No? Not only one. You can deploy several in the same way. Access and security. Like I mentioned before, you need to introduce here what is the key pair of your environment and what is the security groups. If you see here, this is the default. Default means that I don't have security groups, because default, if you go into defaults security group, you will see that there is no rules, which means that is all is closed. You have to create a new security group, at least open the 22 and any other port that you can keep in mind for your business. The post creation, this is something not related to you, this is something related to me. Is imagine that if we need to make some configuration of the virtual machine after the instantiation of them. No? Imagine I want to change the LCR in order to don't have any problem with the keyboard, or I want to change the data of the machine or the uname of the machine, whatever. We introduce here several commands for that, no? Or configure the ATH0 for some specific reasons. We put several commands here. And finally, the summary. Summary gives you details about what is the different option that you have selected, and give, if there is no, for example, if you don't introduce key pair, they give you a message in red saying that you don't provide a key pair, you need to provide the key pair, please. Go back and check what is the key pair that you want to use, etc., etc. Well, I deploy a virtual machine, but keep in mind that this is a private IP address. When you see tomorrow, when you deploy in the exercise the virtual machine, you will see that you have a 10.something.something.1 or something like that, no? But you cannot open, you cannot go there. The only way is that you see that this is up and running is go to to the console of the virtual machine and see that, okay, this is running, but you cannot go into there. No? Well, what I need to do now is associate the IP address that I have in the previous steps, associate this public IP address with the instance that I have to create. This is only, you have to click on the action, then associate IP address, and automatically you will see something like that, in which the cloud portal asks you what is the instance that you want to associate, and automatically associate IP. And you will see something like after some seconds, you will see that you have two IPs, no? the public and the private. You can click on the new instance, and you will see something like that, the overview, in which you have the different configuration options, the private IP address. Here in that case I don't have the public one, but if you have it, you can show here what is the security groups, and so on. And finally, at the end, you will see installed software. No, you could see it. This is because when I create this instance was something like blah 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 init, which means that I can use the SDC component in order to install automatically software there. You can go here and click on edit. You can select what is the software that you want to deploy there, using Puppet or using Chef. This is internal for us. But the idea is you can select, for example, Apache, Tomcat, Git, what things I have, Air, I think that we have also Air, PHP, MySQL, I think Postgre also there. Whatever you can imagine is there. If there is one specific software that you want to install, it's not there, please send me an email in order to put the recipe. Well, I deploy a virtual machine, I have a security group, key pair, I have the public IP, and then the only thing is, okay, go into there, SSH -i, the pen file, root, add something like that. And you can work with the virtual machine for your own. This is for you now. Keep in mind, not now, but keep in mind that, for example, when we deploy a virtual machine and we install software there, because this is something that we have very usual for security reasons, if you install Tomcat, please change the password. Don't give admin the default user and password. Yeah, you laugh. No, because this is a hole in the security. We have at the end, we have a lot of attacks in the infrastructure because the people is leaving the default password of the different services, and this is an open point to attack. The same for MySQL. No, if you leave the root or admin for the MySQL, for sure, after 3 or 4 months, your machine is under attack. Okay. We have monitoring component outside of the virtual machine. We have monitoring in the infrastructure in order to detect, but it's not allowed to stop. If something is going to your machine and compromise your password, your user and password, is something that we cannot resolve. We can make operation after the problem, but not before. Okay. At this moment, I hope that you can understand the process to deploy a virtual machine. If you have any question, please give us now, because it's important, because we move to a very high slice now. Okay.
I couldn't reach the site where I can generate a key pair. I have a running instance, I have a key pair, but I couldn't generate a new one. Because I couldn't generate a new key pair. I have an instance running on FIWARE Lab, but I didn't reach the site because the view is different than the one you showed me.
What is
it's all new.
Maybe it's I take about which one? The keeper. You mentioned the keeper.
¿Cómo?
What is the different windows that you see me?
¿Cómo? Which?
Which window? Which?
The instances. He has a list of.
I have a list of instances.
Anyway,
Let me see.
detail.
Yeah, leave it. But it's yeah, the view is different than what I get on the internet.
Maybe I forget to change this. Sorry, but I don't see it. Sorry. Well, I don't see it. Well,
I got it. Sorry.
I can explain. Don't worry, because something that the problem is I don't find the mouse. Here. Finally, I find it. Okay.
Oh, I got it.
You see that you don't see the overview is different. Okay, I don't have machine in Zurich. I have one in Spain. Spain too. Let me go to the Spain too. This one, you say that is different.
No.
Well, I have to wait.
The problem was I didn't open my browser window
Okay,
to
anyway,
complete, so I couldn't
if
see
there
the
is something
rest.
similar, I change the image. Don't worry, and I update.
It was my fault.
No, maybe it's not your fault because we have all the time we are changing the description of the presentation. In fact, I was working yesterday in order to change several images. Let me move. Okay. Yes.
You said there's a Chef and Puppet possibility to. You said that we can use Chef and Puppet. Is there an Ansible or background also compatibility to deploy machines?
Good question. Currently, we are working with no. At the beginning of the project, we started only work with Chef. After 1 year, we decided also to provide the Puppet in order to work with them. The background we want to work with during this year, but not directly related to it. It's related to a specific development that we want to do in the cloud, in order that we can get the monitoring information that we have, provide a background, in order that people automatically can make analysis of the data, of the monitoring data.
Okay, but right now we have overall Ansible recipes and we have background to deploy. So can we say, like, it would be great to say background over FIWARE?
No, background yes, but Ansible. Talking about Ansible. Ansible is the other component, other things, because the work in progress now in the FIWARE portal or FIWARE lab, FIWARE cloud in that case, is to move to the community, OpenStack community, which means that the pass manager, SDC, the pass manager, both of them was integrated into the community solution. It was Murano, and we are working with them in order to provide a solution that use Murano with the functionality that we have developed in the FIWARE lab. What this means? This means that if you go to the Murano, I don't know if you know it, the solution of Murano is based on a specific language, not background, not Chef, not Puppet, not Ansible. Okay, the idea that we have is provide the integration of the Chef and Puppet with the Murano language. If you see Murano language itself, is very similar to Ansible. In fact, it's if you understand Ansible, if correct me if I'm wrong, but I suppose that you know it. You know Ansible, and you go to the Murano language. It's more or less is copy paste. It's very similar the format, and very similar the way of defining the different process that you have to do, and so on. For Kilo is the new version that coming in the next months, hopefully. In Kilo, in which we are working in order to define the integration of Puppet Chef. Maybe when we finish the sprint, the Kilo sprint, or the Kilo milestone, in which we are working now, and we started with the new version, L. I don't know what is the L now, but in March, April, May, we know what is the name of the new version. Maybe we define what is the next topics to develop in Murano with the community, and maybe Ansible could be one of them. But currently, it's not. Community is not working on them. Any other question?
Yeah, I didn't get the point.
How can we get IPv6 blocks in your platform?
Nice question. Like the rest of the people of the community. Well, we are waiting for Juno. Because previously, if you know, the support of the IPv6 is not plenty sure in the OpenStack. There was several activities in the Ice House related to the IPv6, and there was some companies in the OpenStack Summit that was talking about the IPv6 in configuration IPv6 in the Ice House, but it's not plenty sure that you can use it. With the Juno, the version that actually we are deploying in the Spain too, with Juno it's possible to deploy IPv6. It's at least it's the first, for me, it's the first release in which you have plenty support of the IPv6. But now, what it means use IPv6? Use IPv6 means that not only the infrastructure that you have, the software, the OpenStack, has to be IPv6. IPv6 you need to have in the physical infrastructure behind OpenStack. Well, this is another problem. I don't know if how many of you are from Spain, but infrastructure, the physical things are deployed by red.es or rediris. The steps that we are following now is, okay, we deploy June with IPv4, and when we finish the migration of the virtual machine from the previous version to the June version, we started to configure IPv6 in the infrastructure. This is something that I hope, we are in March, no? I hope by April, more or less, April or May, we can start with the configuration, the physical configuration IPv6.
Another question. Do you offer full OpenStack API capabilities?
Well, depends on what do you mean by full offer API.
Yeah, to have access by the keystone and the proxies, to have access to all the API for the different components.
This is something good question. I forget to mention in the description. The cloud portal is only a portal, which means that all the operations that you have behind the portal are using REST interface. All the REST interface from the different components, from the path, from the OpenStack, from the SDC, and so on, are open, because this is something mandatory for this project. If you go to the catalog, in the cloud section of the catalog, you can get information of the different APIs. But in case of the OpenStack, you can go directly to the OpenStack in order to get the description of the API. For the path manager, for the SDC, you can go to the catalog and get the IP in order to use it. It's open. For sure, you can use it without the portal. In fact, this is one of the reasons that I explain specifically in case of the object storage I explained specifically how you can use it with the URL, not with the portal, because in the past we saw that a lot of people are using the object storage in order to store image that they capture with the camera or video that they have captured or whatever, and they put this information in the object storage. They don't need to put the information in your laptop, in your company. They put directly in the cloud, because you have a lot of capacity there. Not the same for your laptop. No? Any other question? Yes.
I would like to know in these deployments, the MongoDB, under which security rules the MongoDB was implemented in the image you deploy.
Well, security, when you deploy MongoDB, the first thing that you have to put is what is the port that you want to use in the MongoDB. If I could remember, Fermín can give me more details. It's 3306 is the port of the MongoDB? Or what is the port?
I think it's 27017. 27017, I think.
No, I think you heard about the problem of the implementation in MongoDB. The normal guide to implement Mongo doesn't provide information about the security issues. So many MongoDBs were deployed in a security state which isn't secure at all. I don't know if you get that. It was 3 weeks before in the newspapers and so on. And now I would like to know how you implemented MongoDB within these images we use.
Well, actually, we doesn't implement MongoDB. What we do is to get the MongoDB that the standard MongoDB that MongoDB vendors, the MongoDB company provides. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you configure that MongoDB with a security, it will run with a security. You use security, the auth security that I think in the last version has been highly improved. Although I don't know the detail, but I think that now they implement roles and user and so on. Then you will get a MongoDB with security. Bottom line is that is an aspect that the user of that instance, the virtual machine, can configure. So you can configure your MongoDB instance with the security level you want or your application needs. Of course, it requires some knowledge of Mongo.
But I can configure it after I deployed an image.
Yeah, you can.
Yes,
and then after I can deploy the MongoDB with all the security I need.
When you deploy a virtual machine with Mongo, at the end you can access to the virtual machine using SSH. So you can access to the virtual machine, change Mongo configuration, and then restart the Mongo server, and that server will implement your new configuration. And in that configuration, you for sure can introduce security aspects.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome.
Any other question? Well, then move to the very interesting part, the network functionalities. Well, in this part is we give you details about how can create a specific network in which you deploy your virtual machine. What is the different sort of network that you have to define associated to this previous network? How you can create and configure the router in order to access from one network to another. One network is the public network to the network that you have created. The way in which you set the gateway. The gateway is the starting point or the connection point between the open network, the public network, and the router. And the interface is the connection between the router and the private network. We explain how you can create an instance in which you have to select a network in which you want to deploy it, and assign a public IP in the same way that the previous, and check that all is running. Okay, the question is why we need to be so complicate things? Well, the thing is mainly for security reasons. When you have in the previous steps, you imagine that you are deploying a virtual machine, but the saying that you are deploying a virtual machine is the people in these rooms, which means that all the virtual machines are in the same network, which could be the possibility that if I am a security problem with a virtual machine for any attack or whatever, the people can access to the other virtual machine in the same network. No? This is one problem. Another problem is maybe you don't like that the people can access to your virtual machine or can access to your data. You want to isolate your business from the other business. This is the reason that we introduce directly a private network there, which means that the other private network cannot access to this one. The other virtual machine cannot see your IP address because this is in another network. This is like a virtual LAN there. No? You isolate your business from the other one. This is the main topics. The other one is you have the possibility to provide multi-tenancy here, because you have at the level of the network you provide multi-tenancy. You have a specific network for your business. For the other user have another a specific network, and so on. Well, the process is like you see here. You go to the network part, and you click on create a network in order to introduce the data. The first thing is put the name of your network, something like demo minus network demo or demo network, whatever you want. And you don't need to do anything else at the moment. Leave admin state and leave add subnet. You can do here, but I prefer to explain. And I click on create, and you create your new network, something like that. No? In that case, DemoNet is the name of I am using. Well, you see that you don't have any specific subnetwork. You need to create a subnetwork for this network. What is this? It's imagine you are deploying a network in which you have to specify what is the IP address and what is the mask of this network. This is the subnetwork you have to create. You go to the you click on the name of the network, and you click action add subnet. When you add a subnet, you will see something like that, in which you need, for mandatory reason, you need to put what is the name of the subnetwork, what is the network address in the CIDR format. In the next slides I explain more detail. Nothing else. Of course, if you want to put a specific DNS, like I put in the example, I put the Google, but you put here the DNS in order to put here. You have also the possibility to specify. You don't see here as well, but here behind this balloon, you can select what is the range of the IPs that you want to specify. For example, if, I want to use the 192, 180, 68, 194.0, but in this part I only want to use the .240 and .120, which means that only in this range of IP address I want to use. This is another step, but for the moment it's enough with these specific values. I click on create button, and I create a subnetwork associated to my network. Okay, if you don't know the CIDR notation, this is something that I explain in this slide. Imagine that I have this specific CIDR 10.10.1.32/27, which means that for this IP you will see in binary format. I have from the left, I have 27 ones. This is the mask, which means that these specific values I don't want to change. I only have to change the rest of the 27 to 32. What this means? This means that if I have, for example, the 10.10.1.44, it's not working in this network. No, it's working. Okay, it's not working 90. Why is not working 90? Because you see that you have a 0, 1, 0 at the end in red. No, this is not a 001 that I put in the address. This is not a valid IP address. You understand it, or you need to? It's okay, no? Okay. I move to the next one. Okay, I create the network with the subnetwork that I don't have. I have an isolated network because I don't have access to it. I don't have any virtual machine there. The next step is, okay, I need to connect this specific private network to the public one. I need to create a router. A router, I only need to explain. I need to detail the name of the router. And then when I have created the router, I only have to give two operations. Set the gateway. The gateway is the point to connect to the open network, and set the interface. The open interface is the point to connect to the private network. Okay, starting with the gateway. The gateway, you'll see something like that, in which the cloud portal asks you about what is the open network. Each of the region is the different FIWARE lab node that we have around the world. Each of the region have a specific public network that you have to use. For example, in that case, I am using Waterford. In Waterford, you will see two public networks. But keep in mind that, for example, each of the network that's starting with Federation means that this is a private network. This is a MDVPN network that we have in the context of the FIWARE lab. If you use it, you obtain a typical 10 dot something that is not open. But it's something that I put here for administrative or management operation from the node. You have to use, in that case, for example, a public external network 01. No? This is the public XNet 01. This is the public one. You select it, and then set gateway, and you have now connected your router with the public network. Now, what is the next steps? I need to connect the router with your private network. No? This is the interface. I click on the routers, an interface. I have the option to add an interface to connect the router to the network. If I click on them, you will see what is the subnetwork, the different subnetwork that you have. You will see a network net that you create. You click on them, and automatically you can add the interface, and automatically you can connect it to them. And that is all. You have your private network connected to the public one. The only thing that you have to do now is deploy a virtual machine on this network. It's very similar that I have previously shown. You give details, there's a key pair and security groups, and you have here the network. In that case, let me see. You will see what is the available network that you have, and you can click on one of them and move to the app. That demo network is the name of the network that you are creating. No? You click on them, you deploy the virtual machine. I don't have it. Yes. You deploy virtual machine. Well, but it's similar to the previous slides. You have a network, a private network that is connected you deploy a virtual machine with an IP of the private network, which is the IP address that you have here. If you try to access to this virtual machine, you cannot access with SSH. Why not? Because you are using a private IP address. You need to make the same operation that we explained before when associate IP. Okay, anyway, you have the option to go to the console in order to see that, I don't know if you can see here very well, but if you click on them, you could see the status of the virtual machine, and you can go into there in order to work on them, but anything else, no? But the idea is you want to open this operation, no? This virtual machine to the world. Pues then the same. I click on the security, the floating IPs, click on the associate IP to the project, and then associate the IP to the virtual machine. And then I have any virtual machine like that, in which you can go into the virtual machine with the SSH-i flat.pen, the root and the IP address of the virtual machine, and you can see up and running. In fact, if you click or if you execute ifconfig ATH0, you could see that the IP address that you have in this machine is the private one. It's not the public. You see? Anyway, you have the slice. Let me see. You see dot 3, no? 194.3, no? This is the IP that you will see here, no? Okay. Any question about the management of networks?
As you were speaking, I was trying to do it with my PyLab account. But,
in which region are you talking about?
The same you were using
Waterfall.
before, and another one. And it told me that the network was created, but I couldn't see it. So, is it working now?
Yes, it's working because I was. This is an example that I did yesterday. Well, I mentioned before. Actually, the nodes that in which you can deploy networks, because more or less some of them you cannot automatically deploy IP address. The only that actually you can do it is Spain too, but we are not finished all the configuration. I have to check tonight something. No?
I tried.
No, but Spain too, no Spain.
Yeah, I tried Spain too.
Right, you tell me.
Okay.
Piraeus, the two of Piraeus, is no.
I didn't try them.
Okay, then Piraeus, Creta.
Creta I tried, and it took 1 minute, and then I said okay, created, but I didn't see the network, so.
You have to. Tomorrow you will be here, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
You too. Okay.
Yes.
We'll
You have
talk.
a different exercise, and
Okay.
I can give help on that. Any other question? Well, we move to the next one, storage. There is two different ways to store your data in the cloud. You have the possibility to define a volume, or you have the possibility to use a storage, object storage. For the first one, we explain how to create a volume, how you can attach a volume. Don't forget that you have to configure the virtual machine in order to mount the volume. This is something that I explain in details. Then I explain how you can create containers, or containers is the folder of the object storage, and how you can upload and download objects into the containers. And finally, I give you some details about the object storage API and reference in which you can get more details about that. Okay, the easy one, the volume. I don't know if you remember I think that this is 2 years ago, more or less, yeah. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, there was a very nice problem in Ireland about the Amazon node. I don't know if you remember the problem. I was in Christmas time, maybe, in which some companies lose all the information because the Amazon node in Ireland was down, and the server lose all the information that they have. Do you know what's the problem? The problem is not Amazon. The problem is usually when you deploy a virtual machine in the cloud, the information is ephemeral. For sure, you can work on them, and if you can shut down the machine and restart again, you don't have any problem because the information is there. But if for some reason, like Amazon, something is wrong and the physical machine crash it, you lose all the data. What was the real problem of the people? The people don't usually work with the cloud. They don't keep in mind that this is a possible that you have to resolve. And they don't put a specific storage, not ephemeral. Well, this is the reason that there exists the volume, and what is the reason of the exist of the object storage? Because the volume is a specific component in OpenStack in which your data is stored, physically stored. In fact, tomorrow there is a specific example, a specific exercise in which you mount a volume, you switch off the virtual machine, unmount the volume and connect to another virtual machine, and you get the data. Because the data is not in the virtual machine, the data is in the volume. Well, the creation is very easy. You only need to provide the name of the volume, a description easy for you in order to remember what I am doing here after 4 months, and what is the size of this volume. And then you have to attach the volume to a specific instance. You will see something like that. Okay, I select the demo instance that I deploy. This was in Spain too. And you decide in which device name you want to mount it. No? For example, here is dev/dev/vdb. No? And then attach the volume. Okay, you will see after several seconds something like that. No? The volume 1 is in use, but it means that you can use the volume. No, it not means that you can use the volume. It means that the volume is you have the possibility to use the volume, but the instance is not configured to use the volume. In fact, the file system is not configured. You have to go into the virtual machine in order to finalize the process. What have to do there? Okay, if you go to the virtual machine and you execute fdisk, you could see that, okay, there is a specific disk, dev VDB, that doesn't mount. You need to mount the new component. Well, this is an easy way. You only need to execute the fdisk/dev/vdb in order to mount, in order to prepare the disk in order to be mounted. The finalization of this process, at the end of this process, you will see something like dev/dev/vdb1, for example, no? Okay, but now, okay, you have prepared the volume, but you don't have any file system in this volume, this disk, no? Well, for example, I create a X3 file system only. Well, you only need to execute the command in order to make the partition in the Windows format, no? And when this operation finishes, you will see. I don't see here. You don't see here also. You will see here the different mount data. only you need to create what is the place in the directory in which you want to mount the volume. In that case, I select the slash data, and I mount in the slash data, I mount the dev VDB one. No? At that point, I can start to work with them. If I want to automatically, if I want to restart the machine and I have to mount again the volume, okay, I go to the fstat and assure that I write there that I need to mount the virtual machine when I start I mount the volume when I start the virtual machine. I only click on them and introduce the line in which mount the new volume. After I mount the volume, I can go to the cd/data, and you see here that when I write ls, I see that there is nothing there, lost, found, no? A typical file, typical directory. You can use it, you can cut hello world, cut readme, whatever, and they was right in there. The same. Tomorrow there is a specific exercise about the volume in order that you can use it. Remember that this is external volume. You can mount to another virtual machine without any problem. Okay, and the data was there. The object storage. This is a specific component. In fact, it's to keep isolation, replication, and so on. They have a lot of, also they keep the security, the same security levels of the rest of the OpenStack, and you don't have to worry about all of them. You only worry about your business. If you need to upload image, if you need to upload video, whatever, you can put here, because it's isolate with your user, isolate with your tenants, so on. The first steps. You need to create a container. Containers is a folder in which you put the data. You only put the name of the container and create it. Then the only thing that you have to do in the portal is upload the object. You write what is the name of the object that you want to upload, and you choose the file. Choose the file of that you want to put in the FIWARE lab. Keep in mind that this is a portal. But like I mentioned to the previous question, this is an IP address, a REST interface. You have to go directly to the API in order to programmatically do it. In fact, during the different challenge, this is one of the more used components of the cloud. The people automatically see that this is an advantage, that I can upload image to the cloud portal, and they programmatically store the information of the different videos, different photos that they take from the camera, whatever, and they put automatically in the cloud portal. They only need to do different steps. One of them, like the rest of the component of the FIWARE lab, you need to have a security token. What this means? It means that taking your user and password and executing this command, you can recover a specific token. And this token is the operation that this is the XAuth token that you need to pass to all of the FIWARE lab components. This is the security part. With the token, you can get the tenant. You can authenticate the tenant with the token, with like I mentioned, with the XAuth token. I don't see here. And you can get to the object storage URL with the auth. What is the name of this one? Minus tenant ID. It is the tenant of your user. No? And then you have to move to the API of the object storage in order to follow. The API is the same that you have in the OpenStack. It's not any specific API that we are developing in the project. It's the API of the Swift component of the OpenStack. Tomorrow there is a specific exercise. I think that two specific exercises in which I recommend, or I propose to you to deploy an application and put the data, programmatically put the data in the audio storage, not using the cloud portal. Well, any question about the storage?
One question. If you use Orion ContextBroker, the information, the context information is ephemeral too? Do you have any control of? You have only the last state of any entity or so, but you can lose this information because
depends. For sure, depends.
You have any control over if this MongoDB database is stored in a separate volume or is internal to Orion and you have no control at all?
Depends. There is we have different option to install the Orion. If you go to in details of the different recipe that we have a monolithic recipe in which means that I deploy the Orion ContextBroker and MongoDB database in only in one instance. But also you have the possibility to deploy the Orion ContextBroker using another recipe in which not a recipe is using the blueprint functionalities, in which you deploy a multi-tier solution of the Orion ContextBroker in which you have a different part of the MongoDB in different virtual machines. If I could remember, there is no specific recipe in which I deploy the MongoDB in volumes, but it's not a problem. We can deploy this solution in the same way. When you deploy a virtual machine, you always have the possibility to deploy a specific volume, and move the data nodes of the MongoDB to the volume.
So I have control over it?
Of course, you have. This is something that I tried to explain before. When I say that, please don't forget to change the default parameters, because when I provide you the virtual machine is yours. I don't have access. Okay, I can access, but it's not for me. It's not.
Yeah, but, Orion is not my MySQL or is in a generic neighbor. I don't know if it's closed or is open to separate the database from the API. I don't really know.
If you are talking about the Orion, the IP of Orion is open. And you know what is the IP of the MongoDB. For sure it's open. I don't recommend not to play a lot with them because you can crash the MongoDB. But this is there, no? You can go.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? No more question? Okay, we continue. It's the last component of the day, I think so. Yes. The blueprints. Okay, we are talking about the different steps that you have to follow to deploy a virtual machine. You keep in mind that you need to specify the key page, you have to create the key page, you have to select what is the different ports that you want to open for the specific software. For example, this is several questions here about the intentional question that I don't resolve, because when you deploy a specific software that you need to open the specific port for this software, so on, maybe you don't know it, or maybe you know, but you need to open this. You have to do it manually. This is only one, but imagine that you sell the product from different companies, and you need to do the same for different companies. Again, it's a lot of manual work, no? In fact, if you are talking about the network, I don't say anything. The last 20 slides about the network is very very nice to talk about that. What are you doing here? Doing here is you specify a template in which you say, this is my business. I want to deploy a 3-tier application in which I want to put a MySQL database in one virtual machine. I want to put a web server or web application in another virtual machine, and in the upper layer I want to put a web server. I want to connect the bottom and the middle layer with an isolation network. I don't want the people that can access to it. And the upper network and the upper tier and the middle tier always in the isolate network. I only want to keep access to the web server. Perfect. Imagine that for different reasons you need to keep your data in your country, but you don't have any requirement to put your core business in the same country. Maybe because, for example, the Praga region have the bigger capacity of store data, or your data from Czech Republic have to be there. Nice. You can put the storage capacity in the Praga. You can put your core business in Spain, for example. That this is the bigger core at least at the moment, and you have to put the web part in the whatever you want. You can imagine. No? You define this template, and you only need to click a button. When you need to instantiate your business, you only click a button and automatically deploy the different virtual machine, configure the security groups, because if you are installing MySQL, by default, I know what is the default port of MySQL. If I install in MongoDB, I know what is the default port of MongoDB. For sure, you can change. There is a possibility if you want to change the default port, you can to specify in the template the port that you want to use. But automatically, I know it. I deploy a virtual machine, I deploy the blueprint, configure the security groups. The keeper, I don't configure because you need to create it. But configure networks, configure connectivity, and so on. And you only need to click. When you instantiate the blueprint, you only click, automatically started to deploy a virtual machine, started to install software, and so on. What is the real scenario? It's something that I'm talking about. The real scenario is a user want to define a lot of don't want to define a lot of parameters. No, the user want to install several things. When you install a virtual machine, you have in one you want to put MySQL, in another one you want to put Tomcat or whatever. Another one you have to put PHP or anything else. No? The idea behind it is automatically put like I have in the Amazon. I want to Cloud Foundry. In the same way, I have to move to the FIWARE Lab this functionality in order to automatically do it. The idea is with the blueprint template, I define what is the different virtual machines I have and different software that I want to install there. The tier, for me, the tier is the specification of each of the layer of this 3-tier application. In which in each tier I have the possibility not only to define the virtual machine that I want to deploy, but also what is the minimum and maximum number of virtual machines to be deployed, and also what is the initial number of virtual machines. What it means? It means that, for example, that the first one that is in which I put I need to use minimum 2 servers, maximum 5 servers. What does it mean? It means that for any reasons, if my application increase the number of users, the idea is automatically increase the number of virtual machines associated to this tier. This is something related to another component not mentioned here as internal component of the FIWARE Cloud, that we are working on that, in order to automatically increase or decrease the virtual machine. And the blueprint instance is, well, I have I have this template, and I click a button, and I automatically instantiate the blueprint. The process is simple, no? At least it's very simple. You need to create a template in which you put what is the name and what is the description of the template. I recommend always to put a description of the different things, because it's very after 3-4 months I don't remember exactly what is the thing that we are doing. This is something that why I'm putting here mandatory the description files. And then usually you create click the create button, and the blueprint template is created. The next steps is add the different tier. Different tier is something like that. No? You see these windows in which you can select what is the minimum and maximum number of instances and the current one. You click on the name of this tier. You have the possibility to deploy this tier in different regions. And you specify here what is the region in which you want to deploy it. What is the flavor that you want to use? Number of virtual CPU, what is the number of this, the capacity of the disk, the capacity of the RAM. What is the image? In that case, you don't see all the image that you have. In that case, you have only the init image, the cloud init image, because this is that help us to automatically install things, automatically configure the different things, and so on. You have the possibility, if you want, to introduce a specific icon here. You know, for example, if you are deploying here MySQL, put an icon on MySQL here. And finally, what is the key pair that you want to use? Then, here you have the possibility to specify what is the software that you want to install. There is a different recipe here, and you only have to drag and drop and translate the different software that you want to install to the left part. In the same way that, for example, if you install MySQL, you have the possibility to change the attribute. Of course, one of them is the port, initial port of your application. No? You have here the possibility to change this port. This is the operation that you see here. And finally, is the network. Here you have internet. Always you have internet, which means that this tier have public access. You have the possibility to define an alias, which means that if you deploy 2 tiers with the same alias, means that this tier has connected together. I mean, this is something that keep in mind that this is a tier. No? I want to connect the tier with a specific network. No? If I put a name of this network that I have to create, and this network is the same that I have in another tier, means that both tiers is connected in the same network. This is something that I put here with the alias. No? You have also the possibility to select the different network that you have introduced. If you define in the previous slides, if you remember, we create a specific network. You can see here this network. You can select and translate to the left. And then finish the creation of the tier instance. No? You have also the possibility, if you go to the portal, in which at the same level that you have create tier or add tier, if I could remember, you have the possibility to see the topology. A topology is a tool, or is a windows in which you can see the connectivity between the different tiers in an easy way. For example, you can see here that the demo tier 1 is connected with the demo tier 1 with the network internet, for example. In the same way, you see that the demo tier 2 is connected to demo tier 1. No? Here, I'm not sure if this is completely implemented, but keep in mind that you could have the possibility that, for example, demo tier 1 is connected to demo tier 2, but demo tier 2 is not connected to demo tier 1. It's a requirement because in some case some of the users say me, okay, I want to for example, the middle layer can send information to the upper layer, but the upper layer cannot send to the middle one. This is something that or in the opposite direction. No? This is some requirement that the user give us and we implement it. But usually the people say that, okay, I want to connect in both directions. But you have to keep in mind that it's possible that you decided in which direction you don't have to communicate. Okay. Before to continue, I want to explain here that the green button, the green option, Open Catalog. In the Open Catalog, we have predefined several blueprints template in order that you can use. The way to work with this catalog is you go there and you have the possibility to clone a blueprint template, and then you can use. It's something that copy this template in your blueprint templates, and you can work with them. Well, we finished the definition of the template. Well, the next steps is click on them, and in the action, launch this template. You need to define what is the name for sure, because one thing is the name of the template, and another thing is the instance that you have. You have the possibility for sure that have several instances for the same template. You have to select what is the name. Okay. In the same, you have the possibility to. You need to put the description of this component. Well, when you click on the button on the launch blueprint instance, you will see something similar to it, in which you see the first step is deploying status, which means that I am resolving the deployment of the virtual machine, the deployment of the networks, the configuration of the security groups, and so on. When all this stuff is finished, we move to the installing process, which means, okay, I have finished the configuration of my virtual machine and my networks. Now I start the installation of the software that I specify in the template. No? For example, MySQL, MongoDB, Orion, or whatever. With the installation process finished, you will see the status installed, which means that all is finished, all is up and running. In fact, if you click on the blueprint instance, you will see something similar. You will see these windows in which you can go into the details, and you will see that, for example, in that case, the virtual machine corresponding to the blueprint instance tier 1, whatever, is deployed with this IP address, public and private. This is the status installed and running. No? You can, in that case, in that example, I deploy a Tomcat, a MySQL database. No? Well, you can go into the browser and write the IP address of this virtual machine. You can see that the Tomcat is running. In the same way, you can go into the virtual machine in which you deploy MySQL, and if you execute the MySQL with the user and password, you can go into the MySQL and you can see that it's up and running. Okay, documentation, Cloud Portal. If you go to the catalog, in this URL you can get access to the different documentation about the Cloud Portal. Don't forget that you have these slides you have downloaded. You don't need to take a photo. If you want. Oh, I think that is not a better one. Well, I put again the first slide in which you can get the URL. The cloud infrastructure, you can get information about the account, the component. the SDC. This is the component that allows you to install the software using the Chef or Puppet. A Pass Manager, which is the software behind the blueprint. And I don't want to finish before talking about the e-learning platform. No? There you can find not only related to the cloud portal, related to the FIWARE lab cloud, related to the FIWARE. You can find there a lot of videos, slides, presentations, or whatever, in which we're trying to explain how you can use the different generic enablers. No, I suppose that you know it. Perfect. Well, now what?
The practical advice was for me too much theoretics. I need a better explanation on how we can use it in special cases, like some examples. Some things didn't work when I tried to follow it because it's mixed Spain and Spain too. In Spain I didn't get the network. In Spain too I get the network, but I couldn't make the volume. So some problems. And it would be great if you can explain it more close to a special case. The setup. And what I was missing in the presentation as well, the topics of the browser window, where to reach all this stuff. I had some problems to follow.
What do you mean by the last question?
You only took a snapshot of the content of the FIWARE site, but you didn't take all and sometimes the snapshot of all the site. So you had only a window, and I didn't figure out where it is now, where I am.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
So what's the problem? Would be better to have the URL or the path.
Right. Okay.
And which would be good as well if you could provide us with a kind of how you call this screen video for which are the ways to deploy the things in the right way. So I figured out last September when I tried first time, if I don't do it the right way, it won't work.
Well, the first one. Tomorrow, I have this exercise. I will be here with Guillermo. He's going up. We will be here in order that you can make the exercise about the FIWARE cloud. If you have any question or any problem, you can ask us in order to resolve the problem. Regarding the picture, okay, I had two options at the beginning of the presentation. Usually, when I go to the challenge, I make this presentation not with slides. The slides is only backup, in order that the people can see that I am working with the cloud portal, not using the slides. Why I decide today to use the slides and not the cloud portal? Because if I use the cloud portal, tomorrow you don't need to do anything.
Okay, so we wait for tomorrow.
No, it's easy. Believe me, the question is so easy. You don't need to do a lot of activities with the cloud, in fact, because you only need to go to a specific section and go it. And you have a lot of information in these slides in which you can follow the way that you have to follow. If you think that it's better that I make a demo of the presentation and not a slides, for sure for me it's more interesting, because I need to move to another session, the developer week in the next weeks,
would be great to have a demo, really like for kind of small applications which use Orion and Blueprint, and so to use each component of FIWARE and explain it in a kind of video and a screenshot or screen capture video.
Sorry, what can be better later this week?
Yep.
We can finish up tonight.
Yep. Okay. We do this tomorrow.
Well, the last thing, okay, is two things more. If you have any problem with the infrastructure, with the Cloud Lab, this is a specific email that we can give support to you in order that resolve any problem that you can find in the FIWARE Lab cloud.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that you can go to the Stack Overflow, but in case of the in case of the cloud, it's not usual that the people move to the Stack Overflow.
Mm.
But you are using, for example, Orion or Cosmos or another components of the FIWARE, there is a specific tag in the Stack Overflow in which the people make question and we resolve the question. Okay. The URL, you can take a photo now. No, don't worry, but wait. This is the URL of this slice. I have to put, because if you want to close, I have to move to the another one. I don't have it. Let me. Can you see the? No. Alright. Sorry. I can increase the. Wait. Let me copy and paste. Eh?
Read it. Easier. Slide share net, and then it's.
Let me. This one, for example, here, and you don't see, perfect. This is the exercise that I have planned for tomorrow and Wednesday, in which we plan different activities. Use the cloud. If you have any question or any doubt about that, you have to ask me. We will be here during tomorrow better than today. And the idea is, in the same way that we are explaining with the slides, we plan it that you can do with the cloud portal. Each of the exercise has a target with the easy, medium, and hard. Okay. For me, I think that this one, the easy way, the easy exercise can be done without any problem. The medium exercise, maybe you have to check the documentation because it's something different. The hard is in case that you plan to deploy, for example, an application in which you connect to the object storage and so on. This is other level. In the same way that Fermín explained before, it's not mandatory that you use it. It's only for you to know how can use the FIWARE cloud. Okay? Any question? Let me show details about it. No more question? Okay.
I got a little bit confused about the network. First you show us how to create a virtual machine and get a public IP to it. And after that you create a private network with public IP also. When do you need the network, when you don't, why?
Let me remember. SS, Grizzly, SS. Well, SX and before XS is the version OpenStack. You use flat networks. You don't have the possibility to specify network. After SX, which means Grizzly, Havana, Icehouse, June, the actual version of the
Sorry, let me to interrupt you. I have no idea what you are talking about.
Yes, the question is now is mandatory. You only have the possibility to use to deploy virtual machine without networks if the version of the OpenStack that you have behind is oldest, the oldest one. And this is only, if I could remember, it's only one region, Spain. The rest of the region have to use network.
So you should always create your own network, your router, and after that you configure everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah. This has to be made more clear.
Sorry.
It works.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I keep in mind for the next one. In fact, the only region that don't use network is deprecated. Will be stopped, and this is the Spain one, and this is only we keep it in order to move the virtual machine from this version to another one, to another version.
So my project in Spain will be moved to Spain too.
Exactly.
Okay. When?
During the next month.
Tomorrow we have to make a new instance.
Okay.